Dear students, viewers, and the subscribers, welcome to the IAS Mentor. As I already said, this series is extremely going to be useful to the students preparing for UPSC examination as well as other competitive examination. And it's been almost more than 3 months. I think we are right now in the 4th month after we have started this particular series. On every day, we are trying to cover certain portion of the subject Indian polity so that it could be useful to the students preparing for the examination. So most likely the series will come to an end by the end of this month or maximum by the first week of May. So that is what is the plan as of now. And simultaneously to help the students preparing for the UPSC prelims examination this year, I'm also planning to do a series on the current affairs, which would be really helpful to the students and which is likely to come probably within few days. So along with this series, if you can also watch the current affairs, so selectively, I will be very selective about the current affairs most relevant for the UPSC examination. So we'll do make a series on that also. So that could be really useful for the students appearing especially for the prelims this year. Alright, so with that, I'll just get into the next topic, wherein next topic within the broader topic of constitutional bodies. So today the body that I'm going to discuss is the Public Service Commission. So if you look into the Public Service Commission, there are two types of Public Service Commission that is allowed under the Constitution or that can be established directly under the Constitution. One is the Union Public Service Commission and other is the State Public Service Commission. While there can be an Union Public Service Commission for the entire country, and every state can have their own State Public Service Commission. But before I get into the constitutional provisions of these commissions, what do you think is the primary role of these commissions? Well, the Union Public Service Commission is the recruiting authority for the central government, whereas the various state public service commissions are respectively the recruiting authority for the respective states. Of course, they do not recruit for each and every service within the government. The important services, the higher level services. If you take the central government, the All India services are recruited by the Union Public Service Commission. The Group A central services are recruited and some Group B services are also recruited by the Union Public Service Commission. That means usually the people who are entering at the supervisory level or at the officers level. So these recruitment is done by the Union Public Service Commission at the union level. And similarly, certain types of recruits or a similar type of recruitments at the state level is done by the State Public Service Commission. So this is exactly what you'll have to understand as to why the commissions are provided. But why this recruitment may not be done by the government itself? Why an independent body is carrying out these recruitment? The idea is to make the recruitment process free and fair, to make the recruitment process completely on the basis of merit. For all these reasons, such specialized bodies were also given constitutional status under the Constitution of India. And to look into the genesis of these bodies, we'll have to trace back again to the British era. When the Britishers ruled India, they already brought in the system of these Public Service Commission. And as and when India became independent, we have carried forward some of the good features which the Britishers have established during their administration in British India. So this is also one such provision, or we can say this is also one of the important colonial legacy that we have been carrying forward. Alright, so with that, now let us enter into as to what the Constitution says with regard to the Public Service Commission. And if you see the Public Service Commission, the main article that allows for the establishment of Public Service Commission in India is Article 315 of the Constitution. So Article 315 of the Constitution allows for the establishment of Union Public Service Commission by the Union government, and various state governments in India can directly establish their respective State Public Service Commission. And what is the primary function of the Union Public Service Commission? Although they do a lot of other functions as well, apart from what I'm going to discuss. But the primary function is to recruit people to the central services, recruit the All India service officers. Apart from that, against these officers, certain element of inquiry and all those things may also be conducted and looked after by UPSC. And they have a number of other functions also, but the primary function is to carry out the recruitment, and they are the central recruiting agency. And similarly for each and every state, the State Public Service Commission is the recruiting agency for that particular state. Apart from that, normally they do their respective functions, but however the Union Public Service Commission can also serve the interest of some of the states. That means they can also carry out recruitment for the states, provided if there is a request by the governor of the concerned state. If the governor of the concerned state makes such a request to the Union Public Service Commission, but when he is making such a request to the Union Public Service Commission, he need to take the approval of the president. And with this, if he makes a request to the UPSC Union Public Service Commission may also do recruitment to the states as well under such conditions. And apart from the Union Public Service Commission and the State Public Service Commission, there is also provision for Joint Public Service Commission. But a Joint Public Service Commission is slightly different from Union Public Service Commission or the State Public Service Commission. How they are different? Well, the Union Public Service Commission and the State Public Service Commissions are constitutional bodies. When I say constitutional bodies, they are directly established by the Constitution. Whereas a Joint Public Service Commission is not a constitutional body, that is a statutory body. When I say it's a statutory body, these are bodies which are established by way of a statute. So Article 315 of the Constitution gives a power to the Parliament to establish a Joint Public Service Commission also by way of a law that is made by the Parliament. So the Parliament can make a law and it can provide for a Public Service Commission which can function common for 2 or more states. That's basically what is called as Joint Public Service Commission. So again I am repeating it, while the Union Public Service Commission and the State Public Service Commissions are constitutional bodies, whereas a Joint Public Service Commission is merely a statutory body. Presently we do not have any Joint Public Service Commission, but a few decades before there was a Joint Public Service Commission for both the state of Punjab and Haryana, but we do not have it right now. But anyways, if it has to be established, it can be established under Article 315 of the Constitution, provided the Parliament makes a law. So this is basically what we should know with regard to the bodies as to what can be established under Article 315. And further, if you look into the Constitution also provides certain criteria with regard to who shall be appointed as a member and chairperson of these committees. So the UPSC makes, the Constitution makes it very clear who shall appoint the members of the Union Public Service Commission. It is a president who shall make the appointment. For the State Public Service Commission, it shall be done by the governor of the concerned state. Be it the president or the governor, whoever is making an appointment to this particular commission, respectively to UPSC or to the State Public Service Commission, one thing that you'll have to keep it in your mind, the UPSC, the Constitution does not provide any broader qualifications as to who shall be appointed. The only condition that is given in the Constitution is half of these members, whatever be the total composition, that can be decided by a presidential order in case of UPSC. Whatever may be the composition of UPSC, be it 8 members, 10 members, whatever it is, half of these members shall be someone who has served either in the government of India or in the government of any of the states, minimum for a period of 10 years. That is what the Constitution says. If they have served minimum in any government service, be it in the center or in the state, if they have worked for 10 years, they are eligible to be appointed as a member of Union Public Service Commission or for the State Public Service Commission also. So that's basically what you'll have to understand. This is only for the half of the members. For the remaining half of the members, in fact, nothing is given in the Constitution. So it is for the president and the governor to make such appointments based on the aid and advice of the respective Council of Ministers. So this is basically what you'll have to understand with regard to their appointment. And in case if there is any vacancy, in case of chairman UPSC, the chairman of UPSC, among one of the members, one is appointed as a chairman. The chairman UPSC is appointed by the president. And if there is any vacancy to the office of the chairman UPSC, anyone among the members of UPSC members shall be appointed as a chairperson by the President of India. And if there is a vacancy with regard to the state, then there it can be done by the governor of the particular state. And with regard to the Joint Public Service Commission, the president it shall be done by the President of India. So therefore, try to understand. So right now we don't have to worry about the Joint Public Service Commission. So for UPSC, the appointment is done by the president. For the State Public Service Commission, it is done by the governor. So this is basically what you'll have to keep it in your mind. All right. So apart from that, the constitution also provides for the term of these members. We have seen the term of the chief election commissioner and the election commissioners is not given in the constitution. It is given by a way of a law made by the parliament, which is 6 years or 65 years. But however, in case of the Public Service Commission, the term is given in the constitution itself. And what is the term? It is 6 years or 65 years in case of UPSC and also in case of Joint Public Service Commission. As I already said, you don't have to worry about the JPSC. For the UPSC, it is 6 years or 65 years. And for the State Public Service Commission, it is 6 years or 62 years. Provided, this is very important, that they can resign at any time. Although they have a term, fixed term, they can resign at any time. They can submit their resignation to the President of India. So they can resign at any time, or they can also be removed from their office as per the provisions of Article 317 of the Constitution. So this is again very, very important. Either they can resign or they can also be removed from their service. How they shall be removed? As given in Article 317. So what Article 317 of the article says? What 317 of the Constitution says with regard to the removal of the members of the Public Service Commission. So if you look into Article 317 of the Constitution, it very clearly says that the President may by an order remove. So this is what it is saying. Removal and suspension of members of the Public Service Commission. Public Service Commission is a very common word, which is for both Union Public Service Commission and also for the State Public Service Commission. So therefore, be it a member of Union Public Service Commission or a member of State Public Service Commission, in both the cases, who is the removal authority? It is the President of India. Very, very important. That means, though the members of the State Public Service Commission are appointed by whom? Though the members of State Public Service Commission are appointed by the governor, they can be removed only by the President of India. The members of Union Public Service Commission, they are appointed by the President and they can also be removed by the President. But what is the ground on which they can be removed? Under the Constitution, there are 4 grounds on which they can be removed. Let us try to understand them one by one. First ground is if they are adjudged as an insolvent. So who is considered to be an insolvent? In my previous lectures, in number of areas I have discussed about this. But for the students who are directly watching this lecture, what is the ground on which they can be removed? One ground is if they are adjudged an insolvent. Who is an insolvent? An insolvent is someone who has taken loan from the bank, but however, or any financial institution, but however, he has failed to repay that. And during the time, the bank can take can initiate action against them. So therefore, this debt can be some way or one or the other way, it can come to a logical conclusion. So till the time it is done, he is considered to be what is called as an insolvent. So if somebody is declared to be an adjudged insolvent who is a member of UPSC or a State Public Service Commission, they can be removed. So who can remove them? The President. If they have engaged in any paid employment outside the office, it can be any paid employment. It can be a public employment or it can be a private employment, does not matter. Any paid employment outside his office. That means a member of UPSC or a joint public or a State Public Service Commission, they should not work any other place apart from these commissions. And that's a ground for the removal because it may have an impact on the free and fair selections. It might put the members of the commission for any obligation if they work elsewhere also. So therefore, they should not have any paid employment. The word paid employment is very important. Paid employment outside the office. And if it is because of due to infirmity of body or mind, if their mind is not functioning properly, if they suffer from mental disorders, if they suffer from physical disability which prevent them from performing the duties effectively, under these conditions also they can be removed. But who is the removal authority in all the 3 cases? It is the President of India. Apart from that, there is also one more ground on which the members and the chairpersons of UPSC as well as the State Public Service Commission can also be removed. What is the other ground on which they can be removed? They can also be removed on the grounds of misbehavior. So if any of the members have engaged in what is called as misbehavior, that is also a ground on which they can be removed. But what is misbehavior is not defined in the Constitution. But however, if they engage in misbehavior, that is a ground for their removal. But to convince, for the President to be convinced that it is a misbehavior, the Constitution also provides a mechanism for that. So if the charge is misbehavior, then in this particular case, the matter has to be referred to the Supreme Court of India to seek the opinion of the Supreme Court of India. The Supreme Court will inquire this matter, and then subsequently the Supreme Court will give the opinion to the President. And only after the matter is referred to the Supreme Court and after the opinion is given by the Supreme Court, then only the member of UPSC or the chairperson of UPSC can be removed by the President if the charge is misbehavior. But however, it is not necessary that if the charges are something else, if somebody is an adjudged insolvent or engaged in paid employment or there is an infirmity of body or mind, in these cases the President can directly remove them. There is no need to refer the matter to the Supreme Court. But if the charge is misbehavior, the matter shall be referred to the Supreme Court of India, and based on the opinion that is given by the Supreme Court of India, they can be removed. But once you refer the matter to the Supreme Court is going to take some time before they will give their opinion on this matter, because it will take some time for them to inquire on this particular matter. So till the time the Supreme Court gives opinion, the member on whom the matter has been referred, they shall be kept under suspension. They cannot be removed till the time the matter is coming from the Supreme Court. They will be kept under suspension. Suspension means temporary non-allocation of work. So the member will be kept under suspension. If the President has referred the matter with regard to a member of UPSC, then the President will suspend that particular member, and after getting the report from the Supreme Court, the President might remove that particular member. But if it is related to a member of a State Public Service Commission, the matter will be referred to the Supreme Court. Till the time the Supreme Court gives opinion, the Governor will keep that member in suspension. So who will keep him in suspension? The Governor. But the Governor has got only the authority to suspend, not to remove them. After the opinion is given by the Supreme Court, then the President will remove in case of the State Public Service Commission also. So try to understand. Be it a member of UPSC or a State Public Service Commission, who has got the authority to remove these members? Only the President of India. And in which case the matter is referred to the Supreme Court? Only in this particular case, that when the charge is misbehavior, not on the other grounds. So these are all very, very important information that you will have to keep it in your mind, probably to answer the questions effectively. And one more important information that is given in the Constitution with regard to the members of the state, both the Union as well as the State Public Service Commission. The Constitution does not elaborately give any service conditions with regard to be it members of UPSC or the State Public Service Commissions. What do you mean by service conditions? What shall be their salary? What shall be their allowances? What is their leave rules, pension rules, and other rules related to the service? It all shall be decided by an order that is issued by the President of India. It is the President who shall issue the orders with regard to the service conditions of the Union Public Service Commission. And it is the Governor who has to make these rules when it comes to the State Public Service Commission. We don't have to worry about the JPSC for time being, because there's no JPSC in existence at this moment. So this is again something that you'll have to keep in your mind. The most important thing, again, last but not the least, that you'll have to keep in your mind, which is also related to the Public Service Commission, is the members of the Public Service Commission, are they eligible for further employment in the Government of India? Or they eligible for reappointment in the Government of India or in the government of any of the states? What is the position of the members of the Public Service Commission when it comes to what is called as reappointment and further employment? There is a difference between reappointment and further employment under the Government of India or under the government of any state. So whenever I use the word further employment, so this is very, very important. Whenever I use the word further employment, when the Constitution says that there is no scope for further employment, say for example, somebody who is occupying the office of the CAG, we already seen about the CAG in the previous lecture. Somebody who is occupying the office of the CAG has no scope for further employment once he retires from the office of the CAG. So what does it mean by further employment? That they cannot be appointed either under the Government of India or under the government of any state in any capacity. So they cannot be appointed in any capacity either under the Government of India or under the government of any state. That's basically what is called as further employment. But what do you understand by reappointment? Reappointment means a person who has retired from a particular post, he cannot be appointed to the same post, but he may be appointed in certain other capacity. So the reappointment does not prohibit the further employment, but the further employment prohibits what is called as that the person cannot be employed in the future within the government. Reappointment only prohibits they cannot be appointed to the post where they have retired, but they can be appointed in the other positions. So this is what is the difference between reappointment and further employment. But what the constitution says with regard to the chairperson and the members of Union Public Service Commission and the State Public Service Commission. So when it comes to the chairman UPSC, the chairman UPSC is the highest position among the Public Service Commission. He is a chairman of UPSC. There are many members, but one is a chairman. So someone who is retiring as a chairman UPSC, for him there is no scope for further employment. That means he cannot be appointed in any capacity either under the government of India or under the government of any of the states. There is no scope for what is called as further employment. That is not at all possible for someone who is appointed as a chairman UPSC. But however, somebody who is appointed as a chairman of a state public service commission or someone who is retiring as a state public service commission. So for UPSC chairman, there is no scope for further employment. But somebody who is retiring as a chairman of UPSC, someone who is retiring as a chairman of a state public service commission, then in that particular case, he can be appointed as a chairman or member of UPSC or a chairman of some other state public service commission from which he has not retired. That means someone who is retiring as a chairman of, let us assume, the public service commission in case of Telangana, for an example. Now in that particular case, this person can be appointed as a chairman or a member of Union Public Service Commission or a chairman of any of the other state public service commission apart from Telangana. That is possible. So for him there is no restriction on further employment, but for him there is only restriction with regard to reappointment as a chairman of the same public service commission. Now someone who is retiring as a member of UPSC, someone who is retiring as a member of UPSC, for him also there is no restriction on what is called as further employment, but reappointment is not possible. That means somebody who is retiring as a chairman of UPSC, he cannot again be appointed as a chairman of UPSC, but he can be appointed as in certain other capacity. What are the capacities? He can be appointed as a chairman of UPSC, or he may be appointed as a chairman of any state public service commission also. And then the last thing is somebody who is retiring as a member of a state public service commission. Somebody who is retiring as a member of state public service commission again cannot be appointed as a member of that particular state public service commission, but he can be appointed as a chairman of member of UPSC or a chairman of that state public service commission or any of the other state public service commission. So all these things are possible. So the crucial thing that you have to remember is, it is only for the chairman UPSC, there is no scope for what is called as further employment. But for the other categories of people, there is scope for further employment in certain restricted capacity. Very, very important. So you can watch it once again also. So therefore it gets into your mind. UPSC at any point of time can ask question from this particular area. So we're almost coming to the end of the Public Service Commission, but our discussion will not be complete without looking into certain other constitutional dimensions. What are the other constitutional dimensions? The Constitution categorically says the expenses of the Commission, they are all charged upon the Consolidated Fund of India. That means the expenses of UPSC is charged upon the Consolidated Fund of India. The expenses of the State Public Service Commission is charged upon the Consolidated Fund of the respective state. So what does it mean by charge expenditure? So charge expenditures means these are all expenditures which are not put to vote in the vote on demand for grant stage, although they are subject to vote, or in other words, they are all considered to be important expenditures. And apart from that, there is also another constitutional provisions. It is the responsibility of the president to lay down these reports in front of the parliament every year. The UPSC every year, whatever they do, they prepare a report, submit to the president, and the president in turn lay this report in front of the houses of the parliament. And similarly, the state public service commissions, every year whatever they do, they submit the report to the governor lay this report in front of the houses of the state legislature. And in case if it is a joint public service commission, the respective report will be laid down to the respective governors by the joint public service commission, and then the governors in turn will lay the report in front of the respective state legislature, but you don't have to worry about the joint public service commission. So this is what exactly you should know about the Public Service Commission. So Public Service Commission is a classic example of colonial legacy. The idea of establishing the Public Service Commission is to ensure merit-based recruitment for the higher government services. And for that, the constitutional body is allowed under Article 315 of the Constitution, which is in the form of Union Public Service Commission for the Union and the State Public Service Commission for every states. And the Constitution provides elaborate details with regard to who shall be appointed as the members, who shall appoint them as the members or the chairperson, what is the position in case of vacancies, what shall be their service conditions. Although their service condition is not given directly, but it is giving the power to the president and the governor, and what are all the functions they are supposed to perform. So all those things are given in the constitution. And what is the scope for their future employment once they get retired from the services. What are the ways, most importantly, they can be removed, be it a member of UPSC or a state public service commission. The removal can be done only by the president of India, although they are appointed by the governors. When it comes to state public service commission, who can remove them? It is only the governor. And of course, it is a responsibility of the president and the governors to lay down these reports to the respective state legislature as well. Very, very important provisions. So with that, we are almost coming to the end of the discussion, but it is not over without we do the questions. So come to the question. Consider the following statements. The member of UPSC or State Public Service Commission is not eligible for any employment either under the state or the union government on ceasing to be such members, that is on retiring to be such members. Any employment, not eligible for any employment means there is no further employment, that is what they are saying. So you can just decide whether this particular statement is true or not. Accordingly, you can decide. Statement 2. The members of State Public Service Commissions are appointed and removed by the governor. Is a member of State Public Service Commission appointed as well as removed by the governor? You can think about it. The members of UPSC or the State Public Service Commissions are removed on the same manner as that of a judge of a Supreme Court. Are they removed on the same manner as that of judge of a Supreme Court? For the judges of the Supreme Court, it requires a motion to be passed in the parliament and all those things. Does it require in case of the members of UPSC or State Public Service Commission? Which of the statements given above are incorrect? 3 only, 1 and 3 only, 1 and 2 only, all of the above. So please put your answers in the comment box. I am sure that this particular video on the constitutional bodies that is related to Public Service Commission is quite useful to all of you. If you have any queries, you please reach out to me, and I'm quite sure that this particular series is going to help lakhs and lakhs of students in the coming year. But however, do watch the series completely for the maximum benefit of this particular series. If you have any queries, any doubts related to the examination, this lecture or this series, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Please think me as your friend, guide or a mentor who can help you in this particular examination. Thank you very much. All the very best.